Welcome to this build session, Make a Map in Minutes, how Mapbox is streamlining map development. I will let the speakers introduce themselves, but we are here with Matthew Anthony and Rebecca Herron from the Mapbox team. And then before we get started, I just wanted to go through a couple housekeeping items. First, this session is being recorded, and recordings will be available to all registrants on the Zoom event and the Zoom lobby that you have to access to get to all of these sessions. So if you go there after the build event, the recordings will be there. Captions today are available in multiple languages. You can submit questions through Zoom through the Q&A feature. The Q&A feature should be in your Zoom menu at the bottom, possibly at the top, but it's a button that says Q&A. I'll be monitoring the Q&A all session, so will Matthew and Rebecca. Please use the Q&A. We do look at the chat. If you have a question in the chat, we might get to it, but we don't always look at the chat for questions. So if you have something you specifically want answered, use that Q&A. It's a lot easier for us to manage there, so we usually get to those first. Finally, you can discover more build sessions. We have 60 this week, Monday through Friday, and you can find those in the the Zoom event console or mapbox.com/build. So that's it for me, and I'm going to pass this off to our presenters.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Hey everyone, my name is Matthew Anthony. I'm a senior product manager on the Maps org. I'm also joined by Rebecca Herron, an engineering manager on the Maps team. We're super excited to be here today and to talk a bit about the investments we're making to our platform to streamline map development. Some of the things we'll cover are range anything from entire new tooling investments to even addressing tiny paper cuts to ensure that our developers have a delightful and a frictionless experience. So in this presentation, we'll cover four things. Rebecca will talk about some new data tools that we've been working on. I'll cover some new styling features, some improvements to our documentation, and then a sneak peek of what's coming next. So now I'll hand it off to Rebecca.
Thanks, Matthew. Hi, everyone. My name's Rebecca, and I'm an engineering manager for Maps APIs. I'll be sharing an overview of our new custom data tooling. So from talking to developers, we've learned that working with custom data is one of the most painful steps in the developer journey with Mapbox. This includes uploading data in specified formats, preparing it to be loaded on a map, and tiling data with MTS. To address these issues, we're introducing a new tool called the Data Workbench, focused on helping you bring in and manage your custom data with Mapbox. Next slide. Data Workbench lets you bring in multiple data sources in most common geospatial formats. Users can use Data Workbench to preview their live data and receive live visual feedback on their data configuration before publishing it with Mapbox. After you preview your data with Data Workbench, you can publish your data as an MTS tile set. MTS, or Mapbox Tiling Service, is our best-in-class tiling service that lets you transform your proprietary geospatial data to be used in customizable maps and services using the Mapbox platform. Next slide. We've heard from developers that a major pain point of working with MTS is that you have to publish a tile set to validate the impact of your recipe on the tile set. An MTS recipe is a JSON document that defines a set of rules for processing your data into a tile set. It allows you much more granular control over your final tile set. For example, defining at which zoom levels a particular feature is visible in the tile set, or unioning features based on their attributes. One key feature of the Data Workbench is that it lets you adjust your MTS recipe and see live visual feedback of how the recipe changes the resulting tile set. With this feature, you no longer need to publish your tile set to understand the effects of the recipe changes. Once a tile set is published, you can easily copy and paste your MTS recipe for future use with Mapbox Tile Sets APIs. Next slide. Published tile sets can be styled in the Studio Style Editor, just like they are today. The Mapbox Style Editor is a web-based tool that allows users to create and customize the visual appearance of a map by modifying fonts, colors, icons, and the arrangement of data layers. This example shows a 103,000 point data set of birds in San Francisco that are tiled with MTS and styled in the Style Editor. The Data Workbench will be available next week to select customers as a private preview. If you're interested in joining the private preview, please reach out at studio-beta@mapbox.com so we can better understand your use case. I think Matthew's going to post the email in the chat in case you're curious about it. And I'll pass it back to Matthew to talk about our new styling features.
Cool. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about some of our styling features. Just for some context, two areas that I'll cover in this section are the Mapbox standard base map. This is our best-in-class, out-of-the-box base map that's maintained by our in-house cartography team. You may have heard about standard in the past. Just as a refresher, standard works great for 3D and 2D use cases. So if you're looking for 3D landmarks and buildings and trees, dynamic lighting in your application, standard works great. If you're looking for more 2D use cases, maybe a data visualization where you might want the base map to feel a little muted, standard also works really great for that. So I'll cover some new standard features we've launched. I'm also going to touch on Mapbox Studio, or the style editor, which, as Rebecca mentioned, lets you define styling rules for your custom layers. Also lets you control how the base map is configured and how they might interact with each other. So last month we launched a new version of standard. A big topic, a big focus for us in this release was color and providing more color options for the base map. So this example shows the ability to control color for place and road labels. The new release also includes controls for water and land color. Another big theme was wanting more control for points of interest. This is something we've heard from customers. And with the latest release, we have 4 options to control your point of interest labeled. So we have background, so you can use circle or none. We have color modes where you can use the default color mode, or you can switch to a single color mode if you want the points of interest to better match your brand. And finally, we've added a POI density slider so you can control how dense the POIs look like on your base map. We also super excited to launch landmark icons. I think we have a few sessions about that this week. Landmark icons are just a great way to improve wayfinding in your app, especially if it's a navigation app. Add visual interest, drive discovery and exploration with your end users. It's with the standard base map, it's really simple to bring this into your base map. It's just a toggle in the style editor or just one line of code if you're bringing it into our SDKs. I also want to talk a little bit about some features in the style editor itself. Before I play this video, just some history about how you would work with custom icons in the past. So in the style editor before, if you brought in a custom icon, and let's say you wanted to adjust some of the colors, you would have to go out into your vector editor, Illustrator, or Figma, make your changes and bring it back. We've improved that experience. So now if you bring in a custom icon, so in this example, it's a tree, we'll detect the colors in the icon and allow you to dynamically style that. This example just shows one color, but it does support multiple colors in an icon. Another 2 features I wanted to spotlight in the style editor are the ability to define interactivity to your custom layers. So if you add in a custom layer in the style editor, there's a new add interactivity option that lets you, for different interaction states like hover, click, or double click, you can define how the layer is styled for those states. And the style editor lets you preview those as well. And one thing I'm really excited about is you can then copy code snippets. So we offer JavaScript, Swift, SwiftUI, and Kotlin. So you can easily bring it from the style editor into your application code. And I think this paradigm of just improving how the style editor interacts with the application code is something we want to invest in a lot more to make that process more seamless. And then to the right, we have, I just wanted to spotlight this feature. We have a context menu in the layer list. So if you make a change to a layer and you want to apply those style changes to multiple layers, you can copy layer style, paste layer style. You can even copy the layer's entire JSON and even paste styles across different styles. So pretty handy, like power feature if you're one of our more advanced users. Awesome. I would love to touch on some of the investments we've been making to our documentation. We believe it's just as important, just as it's important to invest in our platform and our APIs, maintaining a healthy and strong and robust documentation system is also crucial for our developers. So our docs team has been hard at work. Some big investments have been into tutorials. So we've added filtering to quickly get to relevant content, and the team has completely rethought the design for tutorials. So it's more focused on being a distraction-free experience and more step-based learning. And on that note, the team has launched 18 new tutorials. One thing I want to call it is there's been a heavy emphasis on mobile content. So the documentation team has been really hard at work ensuring that we have really strong content for our mobile developers, just as we do for our web developers. So I'd recommend if you're a new developer, you're probably just getting familiar with our documentation and our tutorials. If you're an existing developer and you're thinking about adding a new API or a new use case to your app, definitely go back to the documentation, look at our tutorials. It's probably one for you now. And then the last thing I'll talk about is our developer playgrounds. We've heard from developers that these playgrounds are a great way to inspect our APIs, to evaluate our APIs. Each playground essentially allows you to configure the API request, inspect the response, visually see the response in a map to better understand how the API is set up. The documentation team has set up 5 new playgrounds. So there are 2 for our search box APIs for the forward and reverse endpoints and the suggest and retrieve endpoints. We have a matrix API playground, a playground for our rain and snow features, and then a playground for standard as well, which is just a great way to quickly play with the different light presets and standards, play with different color themes, see all the different customization options. You can toggle on the new landmark icons option, see what those look like. Yeah, so really awesome stuff. Thank you, documentation team, for all the work you do. And yeah, lastly, we want to cover what's coming, what the team's going to be working on next, and what to expect in the next few months. Rebecca talked about the Data Workbench. Really excited to take it into private preview next week. And the next big phase we're working on is bringing in the editing functionality into the Data Workbench. Our rendering teams are thinking about improving the experience with animated icons and just making it dead simple to define animations across platform without having to think about how you might set it up per platform. And then finally, on the tooling side, we're working on simplifying the style editor interface, just making sure that customizing the base map layers and your own custom layers feels a lot more seamless. And that is it. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I think we are a very customer-led organization, and a lot of these features and our roadmap has been shaped by many conversations we've had with, I'm sure, many of you who are on this call. So thank you for being an engaged customer and helping us shape the Mapbox platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Rebecca. We do have a few questions that came in while you were speaking, so let's dive in. And if you feel like you don't have the answer, then I am definitely taking a follow-up as like who asked the question, and we can follow up after the session. So Randall asked, using the workbench, can you edit the recipes of individual data layers within a particular tile set?
The answer is yes. So you'll be able to edit the recipes that impact each layer of a tile set. And then once the tile set's published, you can copy and paste the sort of consolidated recipe that applies to all the layers in the tile set.
Awesome. Thank you. Hopefully that's good news, Randall. Um, Andrew asked, so Matthew, you showed feature interactivity in Studio. So you showed adding interactivity to like an icon or a building. Andrew says, I understand that he said, is the feature active interactivity in Studio a preview? I understand it generates code, but are you actually defining interactivity available within the style, or are you just previewing interactivity and getting the code to bring it to your app?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what you're seeing in Studio is a preview. To complete the experience, you will need to take the code snippet and put it into your application code to to see it live. I hope that answers your question.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Next one, Matthew, you showed importing a custom icon into Studio, and then you showed Studio sort of identifying the colors, and then you can actually edit that icon in Studio. In order to make that all work smoothly, do you have any best practices? Like, where do you design the icon? How? And then bringing it into Studio, etc.
Yeah, that's a great question. Also, I think if we have a future session with one of our map designers, they might have some better tips. I would say the best place to start is with the Mapbox Maki icon set. So Mapbox maintains a sort of like icons that we design with best practices, and it's available. We can find the link and link it here. So my advice would be first start with the Maki icons. We have a pretty comprehensive list of icons and see if any of those work for you. And those are all set up to be customizable. So if you see a tree or a park or a building that you like, you can bring that into Studio and style those. Outside of that, designing custom icons, uh, personally, I'm not the best person to talk about this, so this might be a good follow-up item, I think, from our cartographers.
Okay, excellent. The first part, very helpful. Thank you, Matthew. The next question. So you said that we improved a lot of documentation. Let's just say someone is really just getting started with Mapbox. Like, where would you direct them to first?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I think onboarding is a very choose your own adventure path. I think people have different learning styles. Some people prefer video learning, text-based learning. Some people prefer our playgrounds because you can actually just see the API, sort of like see it live. I would say go to our documentation and under help, there's a getting started guide. And that kind of gives you an overview of if you're building your first map, it kind of walks you through the mapping journey. So starting with your custom data, it defines key concepts like styles and tilesets and data sets. Um, I can grab that link. I think it's just docs.mapbox.com. And then there's a help getting started page. That'd be a good starting point.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And Matthew, actually, I'm gonna go live here. I just posted Maki Icons Lab in
Mhm.
the chat. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that was all the questions we had in the Q&A, and there's absolutely no issue with us ending this early, but I am going to give one more minute to see if anyone has any last questions to type into the Q&A. And while we wait, I will just give one more plug. So, Matthew and Rebecca are actually working on sessions later today and tomorrow about streamlining map making. So the sort of premise of like make a map in minutes or like how is Mapbox making map making simpler? Matthew and Rebecca will be going like a little more in depth into a demo of like some of what we talked about in this session, as well as, more. So it'll be more hands-on, more like how to build this. So that first session will be later today. And then there's actually a part two of streamlining map making that will happen tomorrow. Um, and yeah, while I was saying that, we did have another question. I want to give Matthew and Rebecca a complete out here. I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but a prior session talked about the MCP AI assistant. Can we describe or share an image of our brand and have the map maker implement, I assume, like a map for us? Do you know if the MCP AI assistant will do that?
I have not played with that specific use case. Michael, we don't have that functionality in the style editor yet, but it is something we're starting to think about. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up there then. Thank you everyone for attending, and we hope to see you on future sessions.
Cool. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Greg.